The idea first came to me really when I went to see this exhibition in the Italian Cultural Institute in Dublin last year, and the exhibition was staged in this very large room, this pavilion room, and it was quite a good room, but I thought the first thing that actually came to my head is that we have a wonderful exhibition space here in the library, in the Boo Library, and it would be perfect for Dantes Inferno, because you really have to enter into it and walk around it, and you know, in consultation with people in the library, we were able to put this together. And of course, Liam, when he came on board, everything was quite simple. And the reason why we're doing this exhibition, I suppose, is that it runs in tandem with a kind of a bigger project that we are engaged in, and that is Dante. That there's a wider discussion about Dante in UCC and in Ireland, because in Ireland, as you know, there's a great kind of rapport with Dante as a poet. I mean, all of our great writers, be they Samuel Beckett, James Joyce, Seamus Heaney, Kieran Carson, they've all at one stage or another either translated Dante or have engaged directly with Dante in their text. So Dante is a hugely important writer for Irish writers. And we want to, with these lectures and with this exhibition, to kind of, I suppose, raise the profile of Dante among students, and also to engage with the wider public, that they come into UCC, they hear lectures given by experts in different fields, not necessarily Dante experts, but people who are from English studies or from Irish studies who talk about Dante in relation to their own subject areas. So it isn't a bunch of experts talking, this is what happens and this is the only way you can interpret the text, but about people who come from different disciplines and talk in a very, I suppose, dynamic and engaging manner about Dante as a poet, and why Dante is still read today and still talked about, and why Irish writers in particular, but others and visual artists constantly engage with him. I mean, as you can see from the exhibition, Liam's lithographs are a wonderful engagement and transformation of the text of the Inferno, and as he has himself said, the Purgatory and the Paradiso are to follow us. So I'm quite excited about that.
I started to work on an image which actually then, if you like, finalised itself as the gates of hell, because I saw that as a sort of a resurrection of the dead from the First World War. And then it struck me, this has got wider resonance, you know. And I started to look at Rodin's Gates of Hell, and that led me then into Dante, funnily enough. So it was through, if you like, trying to get deeper into Rodin's Gates of Hell that I discovered Dante, and then realised in Inferno that there was a whole world in there that I just hadn't experienced. So I discovered it, and then that led to the rest, Inferno. It was easy for me to become very personal about it, because what struck me about Dante was that the more I read him, the more I realised that there was a timelessness about his insights into the human condition. I mean, he was encapsulated in Catholicism of the 13th century Italy, but I found that everything he said resonated with the 21st century, and he was a man that could push the boat out. He didn't hesitate to question, to search, and I liked that. It rang a bell with me, rang a deep bell, you know. Here was a man who could say those things in the 13th century, and they would actually endure for over 800 years. So I think he's very much a poet of today. Yeah. And very much an international poet in that context. Printmaking is a very good medium for communication, because by comparison, for example, to an oil painting or a piece of sculpture where there's just one of, with printmaking you can make multiple copies, so you can get it to a wider range, a wider audience, much like a book, I suppose. But I've always been drawn to printmaking because what fascinates me about it is that you can change that colour that you've just printed into another colour. Okay. So you don't have to do what you do with a drawing. You'd have to redo the drawing totally from scratch. So you can introduce a whole spectrum, literally, of of colours and then choose the one that maybe best perhaps suits the drawing. And ironically enough, sometimes when you make a drawing in black, it may actually work better in red. Well, the one that I like best from a kind of purely visual point of view is the users, because that would be a very good example of how what's happening today resonates with 13th century Florence, with exorbitant interest rates and people not doing anything very productive with their money, just simply earning interest from interest from interest. And so I thought, yeah, I think the users is my favourite in that sense. But probably the one that gave me the most, the one that I had to dig deep about, would probably be the Wood of the Suicides. But again, I think this is where we have Dante, who's raging against injustice, he's raging against greed, but he's also quite capable of deep empathy, sympathy with people who have suffered. And his description of what happens in the Wood of the Suicides, for me, was very, very dramatic. And I think that probably would be, from an artistic point of view, that would probably be my favourite.